When Reg Park walked onto Italian film sets in the early 1960s to play Hercules, directors had a problem they had never encountered before. Park was not just another athletic actor who had done some push-ups and curls to look good in a tunic. He was a legitimate Mr. Universe champion who had brought competitive bodybuilding size directly into the movies. His chest was deeper, his back was wider, his thighs were thicker, and his arms were bigger than any actor who had ever played a strongman role before him. He made other actors look like they were wearing costumes, while he looked like he was born to throw pillars and fight lions. Park weighed around 225 pounds at 6 feet tall, and every pound of that mass was earned under a loaded barbell. He was not big for a movie star. He was big for an elite strength athlete. The man who would later inspire Arnold Schwarzenegger to become a bodybuilder had a physique so imposing that casting directors could only put him in roles where his size made sense. He could not play a farmer, a soldier, or a merchant. He had to play gods and demigods because nobody would believe that a man built like that was anything less than superhuman. What made Park different was not genetic supplements or secret training tricks. It was something far simpler and far more repeatable. Park had a daily habit that was so basic and so obvious that most modern lifters completely overlook it. This habit was not flashy. It did not require expensive equipment. It did not look impressive on social media. But it quietly powered everything he did in the gym, and it gave him a physical advantage that no other actor of his era could match. This script will explain why Reg Park's size was different from every other strongman actor in old Hollywood. It will show how the film industry reacted when a real champion stepped onto the set. It will break down his training philosophy, his approach to food and recovery, and his refusal to complicate what should be simple. And it will reveal the one daily habit that made him bigger, stronger, and more durable than anyone else's field. Reg Park arrives in an industry full of strong actors and dwarfs them all. Hollywood in the 1950s and 60s had no shortage of actors who played strong characters. There were men who did gymnastics, men who had wrestling backgrounds, and men who lifted weights occasionally to look good on camera. But none of them were professional bodybuilders. None of them had won Mr. Universe. And none of them had the kind of mass that Reg Park carried when he signed on to play Hercules in 1961. Park had already won his first Mr. Universe title in 1951, breaking British records and competing against American champions who had dominated the sport for years. By the time he stepped in front of the camera, he had been training with heavy barbells for over a decade. His body was not the result of a few months of preparation for a role. It was a result of years of disciplined, progressive strength training that had built layer after layer of dense muscle tissue. When he stood next to his co-stars in films like Hercules Conquers Atlantis and Hercules in the Haunted World, the difference was impossible to ignore. Other actors had athletic builds. Park had the build of a man who could squat 500 pounds and bench press the same. His shoulders were not just wide, but thick from front to back. His thighs were not just muscular, but visibly powerful, with separation and density that came from years of heavy squatting. His back was so developed that costumes had to be specially tailored to fit across his lats and traps. This was not Hollywood muscle. This was old-school bodybuilding mass, the kind built by men who treated training like a serious athletic pursuit rather than a vanity project. Park brought a level of physical development to the screen that audiences had simply never seen before. Other strongman actors of the time looked strong. Reg Park looked like he could actually perform the feats his character was supposed to accomplish. Why Park's muscles looked heavier and denser than everyone else's? The difference between Reg Park and other actors was not just size. It was the quality of that size. Park's muscles looked heavier, thicker, and more functional than the physiques of men who trained only for appearance. This was because his training was built around real strength, not just muscle pumps and isolation exercises. Park trained with basic barbell movements done for multiple heavy sets. His routines centered on squats, deadlifts, bench presses, overhead presses, barbell rows, and power cleans. These were not exercises designed to make muscles look good in a mirror. They were exercises designed to move heavy weight and force the body to adapt by building denser, stronger tissue. The result was a physique that had real substance behind it. He was one of the first bodybuilders to advocate for multiple work sets instead of single set training that was popular in the early days of the sport. While other lifters might do one hard set of squats and call it a day, Park did 5 sets of 5 reps, with 3 of those sets being heavy working weights. This approach, which he helped popularize and which would later become known as the 5x5 method, forces muscles to handle sustained heavy loads rather than brief moments of intensity. Park also ate like a man who was trying to build mass, not like someone trying to stay lean from magazine covers. His diet was straightforward and built around real food. He ate multiple meals per day that included red meat, eggs, full-fat milk, potatoes, bread, vegetables, and fruit. He did not obsess over cutting calories or avoiding certain foods. He trusted that hard training would use the energy he consumed. And he was right. His body responded by building the kind of size that other actors could not achieve even if they wanted to. Recovery was another factor that set him apart. Park emphasized getting at least 8 hours of sleep per night and taking full rest days between heavy training sessions. He understood that muscle growth happened outside the gym, not inside it. While other actors might have trained sporadically or pushed themselves into overtraining, Park followed a disciplined schedule that allowed his body to recover fully and come back stronger each session. This combination of heavy training, substantial eating, and proper recovery created a physique that looked different because it was built differently. Park's muscles were not just for show. They were the result of years of progressive overload and consistent effort, and that showed in every frame of film he appeared in. The one Hollywood problem: he looked too strong to play anyone but a demigod. Reg Park's size created a unique problem for casting directors. He was too big and too obviously strong to play ordinary characters. When he stood next to other actors, the difference in physical development was so extreme that it broke the illusion of a normal human world. He could not convincingly play a farmer, a soldier, or even a king unless that king was supposed to be a legendary warrior. His body told a story that made him unbelievable in everyday roles. This is why almost all of Park's film work was concentrated in sword and sandal epics, where he played Hercules, Maciste, or Ursus. These were characters from mythology and legend, men who were supposed to be stronger than normal humans. Park did not have to act like he was strong. He simply had to exist on screen, and his physique did the rest of the work. When the script called for him to lift a boulder or bend iron bars, audiences believed it because they could see that his body was capable of real feats of strength. Other actors who played strongman roles had to rely on camera tricks, padding, and favorable lighting to look powerful. Park needed none of that. His chest was naturally deep enough to fill the frame. His arms were naturally large enough to look impressive in sleeveless costumes. His back was naturally wide enough to make him look like he could carry the weight of the world. Directors did not have to work hard to make him look like a demigod. They just had to point the camera at him and let his physique speak for itself. This typecasting was both a blessing and a limitation. Park became one of the most visually convincing strongmen in film history, but he was never going to be cast in a wide range of roles. His body was too specialized, too obviously the result of serious athletic training, to fit into normal character types. He was a living example of what happens when a real champion steps into a world of actors pretending to be strong. The surprising science behind Park's strength and thickness. Reg Park built more functional mass than most bodybuilders of his era because he trained for strength as well as size. His routines were built around low-rep, high-weight compound movements that force his nervous system to recruit maximum muscle fibers. This type of training does not just make muscles larger, it makes them denser and more capable of producing force. When Park squatted, he was not doing high rep sets designed to create a pump. He was doing heavy sets of 5 reps, working up to weights that challenge his ability to stand back up. This kind of training builds myofibrillar hypertrophy, which is the growth of the actual contractile proteins inside muscle fibers. It creates a different look than sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which is the increase in fluid and energy stores within the muscle. Park's muscles look thick and hard because they were built to move heavy loads, not just to look full under gym lighting. The same principle applied to his bench pressing, deadlifting, and overhead pressing. Park regularly handled weights that would be considered heavy even by modern strength standards. He was known to bench press over 500 pounds and squat similar weights for reps. These were not 1-rep max attempts done for show. They were part of his regular training, weights he handled consistently as part of the progression system. This approach gave him a physical presence that went beyond simple size. His muscles had real depth and density because they had been built under serious resistance. When he flexed his arms or chest on camera, audiences were not just seeing large muscles. They were seeing muscles that had been forged through years of progressive strength training. That is why Park's physique still looks impressive by modern standards, even though he competed decades before the era of massive bodybuilders. The simple daily habit that supercharged his growth, the habit that separated Reg Park from every other actor of his era, was not complicated. It was not a secret supplement protocol or an advanced training technique that required years to master. It was something so basic that most people would dismiss it as too simple to matter. But Park understood that the most powerful habits are often the ones that look too obvious to be effective. Reg Park walked uphill every single day. Rain or shine, cold or heat, he made time to walk uphill for extended periods. This was not a casual stroll. It was a deliberate cardiovascular effort that worked his legs, built his lung capacity, improved his recovery, and kept his appetite strong. He believed that this daily habit was one of the key factors that allowed him to train as hard as he did without burning out or breaking down. Walking uphill is one of the most underrated forms of conditioning for strength athletes. It builds the posterior chain without the joint stress of running or jumping. It forces the cardiovascular system to work hard without interfering with recovery from heavy lifting. It stimulates appetite, which allowed Park to eat the large amounts of food needed to support muscle growth. And it kept his body moving every day, preventing the stiffness and immobility that can come from only doing heavy barbell work. Park did not treat this habit as optional. It was part of his daily routine, just as essential as his training sessions. While other actors might have done some light cardio before a film role and then stopped, Park walked uphill year-round. This consistency gave him a conditioning base that made every other aspect of his training more effective. His work capacity was higher because his cardiovascular system was always prepared. His recovery was faster because his body was used to sustained effort. His legs stayed strong and thick because he never let them sit idle between training days. This habit also had a psychological benefit. It reinforced the discipline that made Park successful in the first place. Showing up to walk uphill every day, even when he did not feel like it, built the mental toughness that carried over into his workouts. It was a daily reminder that consistency matters more than intensity, and that small habits done repeatedly create results that occasional bursts of effort never will. Why modern lifters overlook this habit? Most people today would dismiss daily uphill walking as too basic to be worth their time. They want complex programs, advanced techniques, and cutting-edge methods that promise fast results. The idea that something as simple as walking uphill could make a significant difference seems almost insulting to their intelligence. But this is exactly why they fail to build the kind of lasting size and strength that Reg Park achieved. Park's daily uphill walks were free. They required no equipment, no gym membership, and no special knowledge. Anyone could do them, which is precisely why people assume they must not be effective. Modern fitness culture has conditioned people to believe that results require complexity, that the best methods are the ones that sound sophisticated and scientific. But Park understood that the opposite is true. The best methods are the ones you can do every single day without fail, and the simplest habits are the easiest to maintain over a lifetime. Walking uphill also does not produce immediate, visible results. It does not give you a pump. It does not make you sore the next day. It does not look impressive in a workout video. But over months and years, it builds total body resilience that allows you to train harder, recover faster, and maintain muscle mass more easily than athletes who skip this kind of foundational work. Park's habit was not about chasing short-term validation. It was about building long-term capacity. This is a lesson that most modern lifters miss. They focus on what looks hard or sounds advanced, and they ignore the boring, repetitive habits that actually create lasting results. Park did not need to prove to anyone that his daily walks were effective. He just did them, and he let his physique speak for itself. The long-term effect: size, strength, and longevity. Reg Park did not just build an impressive physique for a few years and then fade away. He maintained serious size and strength well into his 40s, competing in bodybuilding contests, and continued to train with heavy weights decades after most athletes would have retired. This longevity was directly connected to the simple daily habits that defined his approach to training and recovery. His daily uphill walks kept his cardiovascular system healthy and his joints mobile. While other strongmen might have developed chronic injuries from years of heavy lifting without adequate conditioning work, Park stayed functional and pain-free because he never let his body become stiff or immobile. His legs remained strong and thick because he walked them hard every single day, not just when he was training in the gym. His commitment to basic, repeatable training methods also protected him from the burnout and overtraining that destroys many athletes. Park did not chase new programs or jump between different training philosophies. He found what worked and he repeated it for years. His 5x5 routines were not exciting or novel, but they were sustainable. He could do them 3 times per week, every week, without running himself into ground. This consistency allowed him to continue building muscle and strength long after other athletes had plateaued. While his competitors were constantly restarting their progress by switching programs or taking long breaks, Park was steadily adding weight to bar and eating to support growth. The compound effect of years of consistent effort made him bigger and stronger than men who had more genetic potential but less discipline. Even in his later years, after he had retired from competitive bodybuilding and focused on his business ventures in South Africa, Park continued to train and maintain a physique that would be impressive for someone half his age. His daily habits had built a foundation of health and strength that lasted a lifetime, proving that simple methods done consistently will always outperform complex methods done sporadically. Reg Park's legacy as the actor who looked too strong for Hollywood. Reg Park's physique remains impressive even by modern standards, more than 50 years after his last Hercules film. When you compare his build to the strongman actors who came before and after him, the difference is still striking. He had a combination of size, density, and proportion that few actors have ever matched, and he achieved it without the training technology, nutrition science, or pharmaceutical assistance that modern athletes have access to. What made Park special was not just his genetics or his work ethic, though both were clearly exceptional. What made him special was his understanding that greatness comes from doing simple things with frightening consistency. He did not look for shortcuts or secret methods. He found the basic habits that worked, and he repeated them until they became automatic. His daily uphill walks, his heavy 5x5 workouts, his straightforward eating plan, and his disciplined recovery practices were not exciting or mysterious. They were just effective. This is why Park's legacy extends far beyond his own career. When Arnold Schwarzenegger saw Park in magazines and films, he did not just admire the physique. He recognized the mindset behind it. Arnold understood that Park represented a different approach to training, one based on long-term consistency rather than short-term tricks. That mindset became the foundation of Arnold's own success. And through Arnold, it influenced an entire generation of bodybuilders and strength athletes. Today, when people talk about old-school bodybuilding legends and golden age physique icons, Reg Park's name is always near the top of the list. His training methods are still studied and copied by athletes who want to build real, functional mass. His 5x5 program has been adapted and republished countless times, influencing everything from powerlifting routines to CrossFit programming. And his simple approach to daily habits continues to be relevant in an era that has overcomplicated fitness to the point of absurdity. Reg Park proved that you do not need complexity to build an extraordinary physique. You need consistency. You need discipline, and you need the wisdom to recognize that the most powerful habits are often the ones that look too simple to matter. His daily uphill walks were not a magic trick. They were just one piece of a larger pattern of showing up, doing the work, and trusting the process to deliver results over time. Reg Park did not rely on mysterious secrets, extreme tactics, or complicated fitness strategies. His greatness came from doing the basics with frightening consistency, especially his daily uphill walks. While other actors trained sporadically and treated fitness as something to worry about only when a role demanded it, Park treated training and conditioning as non-negotiable parts of his daily life. His simple habit of walking uphill every single day gave him a cardiovascular base, a conditioning edge, and a recovery advantage that allowed him to train harder and grow bigger than anyone else in his field. These simple habits made him bigger than his competitors, healthier than most strongmen, more powerful in real-world strength tests, and visually more intimidating than any Hollywood actor of his time. When he stood next to other actors playing strongman roles, the difference was not subtle. It was obvious to anyone with eyes that Park was operating on a different level, that his physique was the result of years of disciplined effort rather than a few months of crash dieting and posing practice. The lesson for modern athletes is clear. You do not need advanced programs or complicated strategies to build an impressive physique. You need to find the basic habits that work, and you need to do them every single day without fail. Reg Park's daily uphill walks were not glamorous. They were not complex. But they worked, and they worked because he did them consistently for decades. That is a real secret behind his success, and it is the same secret that separates every great athlete from the ones who fade into obscurity. Reg Park training methods, old-school bodybuilding secrets, and classic Hollywood physique legends like him prove that vintage muscle icons understood something that modern fitness culture has forgotten. The best way to build lasting size and strength is not to chase the latest trend or the most complicated program. It is to master the basics, repeat them with discipline, and trust that simple habits done daily will always outperform complex methods done occasionally.